listening to the Pohu Experience.
Yo, Happy New Year, Happy Year of the Rabbit. Whether you celebrate it or not, I want to wish you a year of happiness and health. To me, especially living in Taipei now, Lunar New Year always feels a little bit more like the actual celebration because December 31st to January 1st, it's like a day off or a weekend off. But over here in Taiwan, we get the whole week off. It's actually dead in the streets. Well, not the whole week. The whole week's not dead in the streets, but for the first couple of days, like yesterday afternoon, we took a stroll in the city. Everything was closed. Like even a couple of 7-Elevens were closed. And it just really felt like everybody's back home, gathering with family, gathering with loved ones. It's a very holiday feeling. So at New Year's Eve, most businesses, they close around like late noon, like around 3-4 o'clock, they're completely closed. Like malls, restaurants. It's kind of surreal to experience. We were having a stroll around 4 or 5 p.m. yesterday, and it was just, there was nothing open. It was so quiet, not many people on the streets. It was actually kind of nice. Well, we were strolling because we actually had a New Year's Eve lunch instead of a New Year's Eve dinner. And that's all because my parents have a very weird schedule. They sleep at around 6-7 o'clock at night and wake up at around 3 a.m. Ask me why? I got no idea. It's just the habit that they have. So every time there's a family gathering or a meal of some sort with them, it's always lunchtime instead of dinner. So that's what we had yesterday. We had a New Year's Eve lunch. And lunch was great. I wasn't counting calories on that day. I don't ever count calories on holidays because in the very beginning, especially when I was on my weight loss journey and when I just hit my weight goal, I was still counting everything. Even if I was, letting go, eating whatever I want, I was still counting everything. But over time, I stopped doing it because I realized, if I just get back on track, there's really just no damage. Nothing could really come out of it. And I do give myself some like set rules. I make sure I don't go too overboard and I don't push myself to the limit. And as long as those parameters are in place, it's actually all chill. And so New Year's Eve lunch, let me recall, we had grilled fish. We had fishball and wonton soup, where the fishball and the wontons were all homemade, handmade. I don't think it was by my mom though. I think it's one of my aunts that's been selling wontons for like 30 years in the market. And there was vegetable dumplings, vegetarian dumplings. Vegetarian and veganism is very popular here in Taiwan. I think the statistics say around 13 to 15% of people are vegetarians here. And there's all kinds of vegetarians, right? There's ones that still eat egg. There's ones that don't eat egg at all. And then there's the religious types that don't even eat garlic, spring onion, or onions. And so there's usually always a couple of vegetarian dishes whenever there's like family gatherings and all that, because there's always those 1 or 2 people on that very strict diet for ethical faith reasons. And there was sweet rolls, French fries, and fried chicken drumsticks. And you would think these are all, special homemade types. Nope, not at all. Nothing homemade about them at all. Apparently, my parents have discovered French fries, sweet rolls, and fried chicken from Domino's. Yes, Domino's, the pizza place. I think my dad was telling a story, like he was ordering pizza and they had some set meal that included fried chicken and French fries and all that. And he tried it and he says it's the best chicken he's ever had, which he doesn't listen to this podcast. So I guess I could say it here. It's mid. It's okay. It's like, I think he just hasn't had fried chicken in a long time, but it's no different than like McDonald's or KFC fried chicken. But it was okay. It wasn't like the greatest thing in the world like he described, but it was okay. It was good. I had a few myself, but yeah, it was good to see family, see everyone that's alive and well. And so going back to how I eat on celebrations, for me, when it comes to holiday mode, and I consider celebrations holiday mode, right? So even birthdays or anniversaries or whatever it is, if it's a day that requires some kind of enjoyment of life, I don't calculate. I just eat whatever is available and prioritize the enjoyment more than the macros, micros, and calories. But there is one rule I stick to, which is stop when I'm full. Because I think a lot of times on holidays, you get in trouble is when you just don't stop eating. Like you eat to the point where you become zombie mode, like food coma, or you eat too much that you even puke a little bit because it's just way too much food. And if you think about it, that's just being too greedy, man. You want a little bit of everything, but you can't stomach everything, but you stuff yourself anyway, and you get to a point where you actually don't enjoy it. There was a point of, wow, this tastes great. Wow, this is so yummy. And I'm pretty sure at the end of that, when you go into food coma territory, it's like, oh, I want a piece of that cake. And you eat that cake, you ain't enjoying that cake. Like, come on, man. We all been there. We all know you're not enjoying that at all. How about you let everything digest first? And if you're genuinely, a little bit hungry again, go have it. Go have at it. And it took me a while to get into this mindset, but I also then realized if you really go honest with yourself to stop eating when you're full, it's actually kind of difficult to overeat. Because before, especially during my 123 kilo days, I always thought I was some black hole. I always thought as long as there was food in front of me, I could finish it. Doesn't matter what it was. I wasn't a picky eater either. I think there was a couple of times where I was so full that it was actually just miserable. It was that little brink of too much food, but not to puking point, but so much that you just kind of had to sit down and waste 2 hours to clear some brain fog and get out of zombie food coma mode. I think there was a couple of times of that where I just started to recognize it and realize that, man, this is actually not that nice. This sucks. Like, I wanted to enjoy food, but this wasn't the state that I wanted to be in. Anyway, one of the things that I noticed is if you really be honest with yourself and stop eating when you're full, like imagine you just eat whatever you want, but the moment you're full, you know you're full, you're genuinely full. You're not saying you're full because you don't want to eat more. You're not saying you're not full because you're actually full and you want to eat more. Just being really, really honest with yourself. If you stop at full, I think for a lot of us, that is like perfect amount of calories. And when I say perfect, I mean like it's very difficult to overeat. Of course, if you have a habit like me, you eat very fast and it takes you some time to feel full, then, slow down. Let your body feel and digest the food. And if you're still hungry, of course, keep on eating. But if you're not, that's when you stop. I started to do that and realized that, man, if I were just to listen to my body, and I guess this is where intuitive eating comes in, but it's so advanced. It took so much practice from me. I had to learn to trust myself too because I count calories so much. I knew how much I was eating, but I started to realize that if I stopped when I was genuinely full, it was very difficult for me to eat too much. Like I would actually be in the ballpark of being maintenance territory in terms of calories. The only times that I might be overeating and not feel full is when a lot of dessert is involved because, dessert just doesn't really make you feel full. But I'm a savory guy. So a lot of times when there's choices for food, I go for the savory instead of the sweet. And that in turn, just by following the principle of stop when you're full, kind of keeps me in check most of the time. I'm sorry. I know I rambled on a lot about stop when full, but those are my unorganized thoughts about it. If you want me to talk more about it, let me know. I think I can make this into a more organized thought process. In any case, while we're on the topic of eating on celebrations and holidays, I actually have 3 tactics that I'll use in and out, just depending on the situation, depending on how I feel. Like I said earlier, nowadays I just eat. I don't really count calories on days of celebrations, but there'll be times where maybe the holiday's a little bit longer, that during some meals when there's not much going on, I might want to track my calories or my macros. And there's a set of strategies that I always turn to if ever needed. And so 3 strategies on how to eat during celebrations or holidays. Number 1 is the one that we've been talking about, which is just eat, just eat, just celebrate naturally. Don't purposely eat more or less and focus on getting back on track after the celebration or after the holidays. And it doesn't matter if it's a weekend thing or a day thing or a meal thing. Like focus less about, oh my God, what's going to happen during the holiday? I'm going to gain all this holiday weight. Don't focus on that, but focus more on, all right, when the holiday's over, I'm going to get back on track, get my regular routine going again, and just go from there. Oh yeah, and one thing I really want to remind you is holiday weight is a thing, and holiday weight is going to happen. Like if you went on a week holiday where obviously you were not really tracking your food, you're just enjoying yourself and eating whatever is available there, yeah, there's a high chance you're going to gain some weight. And weight doesn't mean fat, right? Weight just means you're eating different stuff. You're likely eating saltier than usual, more carbs than usual, and all these things, they create a lot of water weight. So, when you're back from your holiday and you step on a scale, yeah, prepare to be shocked that it's a number that you don't usually see. That's also the thing, right? A holiday is not something you usually go on. You go on a holiday once in a while. Because if you're going on a holiday like routinely, like let's say every 2 weeks you're going on a weekend holiday, all right, then maybe that's the time that you want to put a more strategic strategy into that holiday since it occurs so frequently. But if it's the kind of holiday I'm thinking about, that I'm talking about, which is, we have it once or twice in a year, 2 to 3 times in a year, like 365 days, we took 20 days off. However, we split that 20 days, that kind of thing. Just no need to have any kind of specific strategy for it, except to go enjoy yourselves and then come back. And so back to the holiday weight thing, it is expected to gain a little bit of weight when you come back from your holiday, immediately after your holiday. It's expected. If you go on a holiday and you come back the exact same weight, like, your scale numbers are still roughly the same as your normal routine, I call that a huge lottery win. Like you enjoyed yourself and you didn't gain weight, man, you're either really good at intuitive eating now, or maybe you didn't go hard enough during your holidays. But either way, after a holiday, always expect the scale to go up. It's super normal. And if it does go up, expect it to go down really, really quickly after you've been back on track for a week or two. Like these days, I get a lot of messages and emails saying that, oh my God, Christmas, New Year's, there's no end to it. And I came back from my holidays, I gained 3 to 5 kilos. And I have to keep reminding these people that, hey, that's okay. 3 to 5 kilos after the holidays, that's very, very normal. All you got to do is get back on track. That 3 to 5 kilos, you're going to see that slowly go away over the next 2 weeks. For some people, it'll go away really quickly. For some people, it'll take a little bit more time, but roughly at most, I'd say 3 to 4 weeks, you're back at your weight before your holidays and you're continuing to progress towards your weight goals. And really, instead of worrying about all the numbers, the key is after the holidays, don't bring the holiday habit back into your regular routine. Like let's say on holiday, every meal you were having 2 scoops of ice cream because that was just holiday mode, holiday mood. That's what you enjoyed. But your regular routine never even had ice cream. So don't make it suddenly you come back from your holidays that, okay, on top of your regular routine, you're going to have those 2 scoops of ice creams every single day as well. That's what's going to mess you up, right? And it's not like you can't have the ice cream. Let's say you really enjoyed that. That was really heaven for you, having 2 scoops of ice cream after every meal. Well, you can try to incorporate it slowly into your regular routine. You could strategize around it. Maybe you don't have it every day. Well, you could have it every day, but you just have to eat less somewhere in your meal to make room for it. 2 scoops of ice cream is roughly, 300 to 400 calories? That's very doable. You could definitely save 3 to 4 calories somewhere and fit the scoops of ice cream in and still be in a calorie deficit. Or, of course, you could just do it less frequently. How about do it twice a week or once a week? That's super doable. Like imagine this, 3 to 400 extra calories a week. So let's say that's 400. 400 divided by 7, roughly 57. So that's additional 57 calories per day. There's a huge chance that you just add 2 scoops of ice cream once a week, that nothing changes in your diet. You'll still likely be in a calorie deficit and still lose weight. Hey, but if you want to play with the numbers, you want to make sure you're on the same number as your regular routine while having the weekly 2 scoops of ice cream, that's just 57 calories you got to deal with on a per day basis. That's like what? A quarter cup of rice? Eat a quarter cup of rice less every day and you earn your 2 scoops of ice cream. The math is that simple. And it's like I always said, right? The math, the actually doing it, like doing it on the day itself, that's the easy part. Like losing weight is easy in that sense. The hard part is keeping it up. The hard part is making yourself be disciplined to keep to these day-to-day rules. But of course, I want to highlight to you that, a lot of things is possible. Like it doesn't have to be miserable at all. You could absolutely be so enjoying life and so progressing towards your goals both at the same time, especially if you have realistic expectations, especially if you know that there's 100% chance that you can do this. It's just going to take some hard work. It's going to be kind of uncomfortable in the beginning, but it does get better over time. And so back to the 3 strategies, right? Strategy number 1 was just eat whatever you want and get back on track. That's it. Simple, easy. Don't need to think too much. And so strategy number 2 would be saving calories from the week. And I used to do this a lot more a couple of years back, pre-COVID years. But then, I don't know, maybe it's because of 2020 and all that's happened in the past few years that I just started to be more like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to go on holiday mode and get back on track. I'm not going to be so picky with my digits. But of course, it's also, I don't really have a weight goal, right? I already hit my weight goal. I'm totally fine choosing life over the scale temporarily. But in any case, strategy number 2 is save calories from the week, meaning like, let's say you have a weekend event, right? Let's say you have a wedding to attend to on a weekend, or there's a birthday party on a weekend, and let's say it's Saturday. Saturday, that's going to be a big day. There's going to be a lot of good food, and you want to kind of still stick to your weekly calories and not go too overboard while you enjoy yourself on Saturday. So let's say Monday to Friday, you save 100, 200 calories every day, eating 100, 200 calories less every day. By doing so, you're saving 500 to 1,000 calories in those 5 days that you can then spend on Saturday. Saturday, that means if you ate over your normal quota, 500 to 1,000 calories, it's actually still evens out because your weekly calories would be the same because you save calories on the weekdays. It's a lot of math. You don't have to work out the exact numbers, but just knowing that if you're eating less during the week to eat more during the weekend, that is totally a fine strategy as well. And that totally can help you progress towards your goals while not worrying too much about overeating. Because let's say you're eating 1,500 every day. That's the number that you're trying to hit that puts you in a calorie deficit, and that's just your everyday numbers. And so for Monday to Friday, if you eat 1,200 or 1,300, on Saturday, you could be eating 2,000, 2,500, and you'd still be kind of on point. You'd still be in a calorie deficit. Even if that day you ate eat up to 3,000, 4,000, that's, at best, you probably just that week is maintenance for you. It's not a big deal at all, especially if you planned it. If you planned it, this is going to happen. Things like weddings, birthdays, they don't happen all the time. It's like your friends aren't going to get married every weekend, and you're not going to have birthday parties every weekend as well. It's like, it's a once in a while thing, once in a lifetime thing, really. I mean, if you're celebrating somebody's birthday last year versus this year, even if it's the same person, it's a different celebration. It's different things to be happy about, and it's just not worth missing out on. But in any case, saving calories from the week can help ease your mind, can help you kind of still be relatively on point for that week and, get back on track the week after. Simple strategy. And so strategy number 3 would be 1 meal a day. And I think a lot of us have done this, just not knowing it's actually 1 meal a day. And so let's say you're going for an all you can eat, right? Whether it's a buffet or whatever it is. How many of you have starved yourself the whole day because you knew there was a buffet or a all you can eat at dinner, and then at dinner just go all out? I'm guilty. I've done that a lot of times. Back in my morbidly obese days, I was also doing that already. And I heard a lot of family and friends would all do the same when we were all going to this all you can eat places. And that's actually a very, very valid strategy. It's like if you're eating 1,500 calories a day, and usually you split it up into 3 meals, 500 for breakfast, 500 for lunch, 500 for dinner. If, you decided, dinner's going to be pretty big, so I'm going to save the 500 from breakfast, I'm going to save the 500 from lunch, and I'm going to slap on 1,005 for dinner. That works. That's totally fine. That's a way to make sure you don't overeat. It's like in my head, calorie counting is this really fun numbers game. What makes it fun for me is realizing that, oh my God, it actually works this way. This is no different than budgeting finances, like budgeting how much you're going to spend this week. It's all just numbers. It's all just planning ahead. But in any case, OMAD works. 1 meal a day does work when you kind of don't want to throw away the day. You kind of want to have something in check, but you also want to enjoy that one meal, that one celebration, that one whatever that you have in that day, not eating for the whole day and just banking it all on one meal. Totally works, totally fine. And so I hope those 3 strategies can help you just to have an ease of mind when you're on holiday and celebrating. Because I feel this feels so cliche coming out of my mouth, but it's, life's short, man. Like life's really short. It's not worth worrying about calories during celebrations, during holidays and all that. It just isn't. If you really counted, right? If you mapped out your calendar on how much celebrations and holidays there are that you actually celebrate, like don't put in all the small things, right? Like today is hot dog day. Okay, celebrate. Like tomorrow is sing a song to siblings day. Like don't call those things celebrations. We're talking about big ones like, weddings, birthdays, milestones, achievements. Those go all out, but don't go all out on like, hey, did you know today is Dogs Day where the world celebrates dogs? It's like if you're going to do that, like unfortunately, I think there's a celebration of something every single day, then, all these strategies just ain't going to work. So not for those things, for the bigger things, for the things you're actually going to celebrate, things like this, things like, Year of the Rabbit or Christmas or New Year's. But anyways, you get the point. This new year, though, there's been a little dilemma, and I'm going to warn you right away, this dilemma is so first world problems. As I was thinking about talking about this when I was planning the show, I was like, man, this is so privileged problems. But I still want to share it anyway. It's actually something that I'm thinking about, and it's been living in my head rent-free for a couple of days now. It's a treadmill dilemma. So let's go back to the beginning. Around a year ago, I think it was around this time, I got the walking treadmill at home. And I think I shared it with you guys. You guys saw it. I got it around the time I was at my lowest lows. It's just that was the time where, I quit working out, quit watching my diet, quit everything. Like if you go to episode 1 of this podcast, you'll hear more about it there. It was at my low, but then a study came out around that time. It was a meta-analysis examining the relationship between steps and all-cause mortality rate. In other words, a meta-analysis is a study that studies studies. Like it's a study examining a number of current studies on the same subject to determine trends, right? So I usually love deep diving whenever there's a meta-analysis because it's like, somebody did the homework for me, right? I don't have to go through all the studies point by point myself to find the trends. This group of people studied it, can give me the TLDR version. And so this study was examining basically step count and how it affects mortality. And the conclusion of the study basically said more steps every day equaled lower risk of death. And one of the figures that they found found was that all-cause mortality was 12% lower per 1,000 steps per day. As I was going through the study, I realized that steps is actually quite important regardless of exercise. And I used to put two and two together, but I feel I've been very wrong in that all this time. I never took steps or low-intensity cardio seriously because I thought me working out back then, before I took the break, before I was at my low, I was working out 6 days a week. I was on a 6 days a week schedule and I was on point. From 2020 to early 2022, I never missed a single week. And I thought that's a lot of exercise. That's enough for health. But going through this study, I realized actually getting the cardio in, getting the steps in is independent of exercise. Like both are important. If you have a goal like mine where health is priority, if you just pick one over the other, it's suboptimal. And I wanted to be optimal. I wanted to optimize what I was doing in my day-to-day life so I could live longer, so I could be healthy. But either way, that's what got me to think about how am I going to get more steps in every single day. Now, remember, I'm an introvert. I am somebody that loves staying at home. If there's no reason to go out, I will not go out. Even though I live right next to a very nice park, I won't go. Like I'll go sometimes, walk with the kiddos and all that. But if I'm supposed to go there based on pure free will, that is never going to happen. So I started to think of strategies on how I could walk more at home. And obviously, first thing that came to mind was a treadmill. And I started to, deep dive into what kind of treadmills are there out in the market. Never really shopped for it. I know most of the commercial ones at the gym, but I didn't know if I wanted to get something so big at home, especially when back then it felt like I just read this study and now I'm pumped and passionate about getting more steps into my day-to-day. But I had no idea if I was just being passionate at that moment and that it would die out really quickly, or if I was actually serious and this was going to be a habit. Like I didn't think deep enough to know that answer. I just kind of went impulse and decided I need to get a treadmill at home. So after a lot of Googling, a lot of Amazoning, a lot of shopping online, I realized that there's a whole section called walking treadmills where it's just a very small treadmill, not meant for you to go fast, not meant for you to even jog, but just for you to get your steps in. Like some are even so small, they're made to fit right under your table. So if you have a standing desk, you could slowly stroll on it. And I was like, man, I've been missing out. I didn't know this stuff existed until I did this deep dive. And so I picked one out. I picked one of the walking ones. It's not big at all. It's really small and it's foldable. So folded up, it feels like a mid-size luggage, like, travel luggage, mid-size. And I really like that idea. I thought, okay, so if I get it, I don't like it, I can tuck it away or sell it or whatever it is. Let's try this treadmill thing. So I got it and I started walking. At first, when I first got it, I gave myself the quota of 30 minutes every day. Doesn't matter the speed, doesn't matter anything. Can do whatever I want while I'm on it, watch TV, work on a phone, whatever it is, just got to hop on every day for 30 minutes. And I did that. I started to do that. I started to enjoy that. I kept that up for 4 to 5 months. At first, I was doing it barefoot at very slow speeds, like 3.5. And then, there were some days where I felt a little bit more motivated. I decided, why not do 45 minutes? Why not do 60 minutes? And then that became a thing. Then it became, all right, ever since I hit 60 minutes once, in my head, I started to tell myself, like, man, you hit 60 minutes last time. How come this time you're not hitting 60 minutes? And so then every single time from then on, my goal was to be there for an hour. And I'd plan it out, right? I'd listen to audiobooks. I'd watch, anime or Netflix series that I needed to catch up on. It didn't feel like a waste of time. It felt like I just had to dedicate an hour every day on that treadmill, and nothing in my life really got that affected, but I was easily getting 6,000 to 8,000 extra steps in my everyday. Then it upgraded from there. I decided I wanted to walk a little bit faster, but previously I've been walking barefoot all this time because it's at home, right? You don't need running shoes to walk on a treadmill. But then I wanted to go a little bit faster. I wanted to get a sweat out more. I wanted to see, how far can I go, like, kilometers or miles wise if I step up the speed to, maybe 5.5, maybe even 6.5. So I tried that. And then I realized my barefoot can't take it. Like it could become so hot. I feel like my skin's like starting to tear off around the 45, 50 minute mark. Feels like it's not. And I thought, all right, that means I got to start wearing running shoes on this treadmill. And then so that became a thing. And now it's just really a part of my life. Like New Year's Eve, had the lunch at my parents', had to stroll with the family in an empty city, came back and realized I haven't hit my 10K steps every day. I was like 2,000 steps short. So hopped on the treadmill, put the shoes on, hopped on the treadmill, get that extra 2K and then called it a day. It's like, it's become such a part of my everyday life now. Nowadays, my goal is just to hit 10K steps. So I don't give myself that 1 hour rule. So if I'm out and about, I'm getting my steps in, I'll count those steps instead of making this arbitrary rule that I have to hop on the treadmill 1 hour every single day. So as long as I'm hitting 10K steps, I'm happy. But ever since I I made that rule, I still have to walk on a treadmill every single day. I'm always a couple of thousand steps short, depending on how active I'm during the day and whether I went out or not. If I stayed home, 100% I gotta walk for an hour or not. I just don't have enough steps in. But if I was out and about most of the day, usually I just need another 15 to 30 minutes on a treadmill to hit my 10K. And so that's been my routine. I've accepted it. It's fine. It doesn't disrupt my day at all. Totally cool. And also, not only that, kiddos and mommy, they started to walk too. We actually do have a gym in our building. So mommy likes to walk at the gym because it has an incline and it's one of those more like commercial treadmills. But then at times if she's lazy and all that, she'll also use our walking pad at home and just walk. Now here's where the dilemma comes in. So this treadmill, I feel I've really pushed it. Like it's a walking treadmill. I don't know if it was designed to be going at like 5-6 speed for over a year every single day. I don't know what's going on with it, but it feels like it's getting work beyond what it was designed to do, right? So it feels like it's breaking down a little bit. And I'm not sure when it's going to break down. It feels like any minute now. Because ever since like after we use it for half a year, it like short circuits itself randomly. Like I don't even know why. Like I could be on for 45 minutes, 46 minutes, it just everything shuts down and it's a sudden stop and I almost fall over. Before it happened like once a month, now it's happening like once a week. And usually all I do is just, there's an off and on button, you just turn it completely off and on, works again. And I'm like, all right, just, continue with my steps. But I'm also not going to pretend everything is okay. I know the lifespan is dying. And so the dilemma is, do we get another one like this? Or do we get a better treadmill, proper treadmill, one that you could actually jog or run on that maybe has incline functions and all that? Do we go into that investment? And for me, I'm less thinking about the money because I feel that, anything that you invest in, as long as you're using it, you're not just buying and letting it waste away. I feel it's always worth it. It's always worth the money that you're spending. But what I am worried about is right now, the walking treadmill is so small. Like you can barely notice it at home. It's such a small, nice, thin pad. It goes well with everything. Everything looks nice. It doesn't become the centerpiece of home. It's not big at all. Like the width of the track that you step on, like in the beginning, if I was watching TV, I'd sometimes just walk off track because I wasn't used to how narrow it was. It's a really small gadget, which is why I guess I got to be thankful. It's been worked on this past year and still can function. Way the case, it looks completely fine right now. But if we upgrade to a proper treadmill are like 200 meters by 1 meter, and then it's big, it's bulky, it's there. If somebody has it at their home, that becomes the centerpiece of the home. And when thinking about that, I was like, I don't know if I'm that dedicated to a treadmill. The thing that I think about is we have a gym in our building, but there's only 2 treadmills and a lot of people use it. And there's times where mommy wants to go on the incline. It's full. She can't. So she has to settle for my walking pad where she can't even jog on. She can only walk on because she tried jogging on it once and it just started making noises that we weren't used to hearing, and was like, okay, let's go back to walking mode and not explore jogging mode. Even though in the ad, in the technical specs when we were buying it, it says it's okay to jog but can't be used for running. I don't know how much of that I would believe in, but either way, if we upgraded, then we would have the incline function at home, and then mommy wouldn't have to get on a waiting list or get in line whenever she wants to walk on a treadmill. But then it just becomes this really bulky ass thing in the middle of our home, and I don't know why we're struggling so much with this decision. It's like mommy and I have had hours of discussion about this the other day, and yes, like I said, it's the ultimate first world problems, but it's one of those things. Still, to this very moment, haven't decided. Like there's 2 routes, because the walking treadmill is obviously a lot cheaper than a proper treadmill, and so I even did the math. I was like, well, if this breaks down and I get a new one, I could get 4 new ones before I get a proper treadmill. Like the price is the same. If I calculate the time, it's been 1 year, it's still working. I give it another half a month to a year tops, and I'm pretty sure it's going to break down to the point where there's no point repairing it. Repairing it would cost close to getting a new one, so just get a new one. But then do I want to do that for the next 4 to 8 years, or just freaking go and invest in a proper treadmill where you got all the functions that you need and chances of breaking down is a lot lower, especially if I'm walking on it mostly. Only mommy does the jogging, but she doesn't do it every day. It's a weekly thing for her. But then when our home slowly starts to look like a commercial gym. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still thinking about that problem. Anyways, but yeah, that's all I have for this week. This week is going to be a pretty relaxing week. Nothing's open. Banks are closed. Malls are closed. Everything starts to open up, I think, around Tuesday or Wednesday, even though it's still holiday, but businesses start to open up. And really, this week for me, it's really just time to spend with a family. It's not really even a breather for me because I felt like this whole break that I took in the past year, that was the breather. I don't need a breather anymore. I'm good. I'm good to go, which is why I'm recording right now. I'm good to go. But yeah, once again, wishing you, your family, your friends, all your loved ones a very, very happy year of the rabbit. Wishing you all of the health, all of the happiness in this year. Hope you had a great celebration. Hope you ate a lot of yummy, yummy food. And I will see you next week. Peace.
It's the